had no idea until well after his arrest that he had a criminal history before I ever knew him. I had no idea he was a cat burglar, an entrepreneur. I didn't know any of those things about him. I never saw any evidence of it. But I'm about 100% certain that the engagement ring he gave to me, he gave it to somebody else who lost it in the middle of the night.
Do you think he was doing things to women?
I don't know during that time. I don't think so. We spent a lot of time together, and we were together on campus often. But I parted with him. I never saw him again after the night that he tried to force me to marry him. And I never saw him again. I was 48 years until his arrest, and now it's 50 years.
He had a gun pointed at you and asked you to marry him,
He did.
but you said no.
I said
So
no.
were you fearful for your life, or did you think that he would
With
be
the
able
gun,
to?
of course I was. But now I know he's capable of using it. I'll never understand, knowing how capable he was of breaking into homes, why he wasn't standing beside my bed with a gun. Why was he outside the window? My entire family, except an older brother away at college, my entire family was asleep in the farmhouse in the middle of nowhere. And here he was with a gun.
So you saw him in court today,
I
although
did.
you didn't make any statement. So what were
I'm
your
not
emotions?
entitled. I have no
Yeah.
legal standing.
What were your emotions when you saw him? Did you see him looking at you, or
I don't think he never looked toward me that I saw. I didn't see any reaction.
because you were introduced by the lady that
By Jane.
Yeah, by Jane. Yeah. So he said Bonnie is here. So what was your feeling when you saw him sitting there?
I call rubbish on this whole act of sitting there, unable to open his eyes and close his mouth. I think he's been acting for the last 60 years of his life, trying to be a normal person, trying to be someone that blends into the community when he's been a criminal all along. And what's a few more days of acting for him?
Are you angry with him? Do you feel anger, or
I don't. I just feel completely disconnected, and he can go right back into obscurity for me. This will be over in just a couple of days. I wouldn't have wished the death penalty on him, but I regret nothing about his spending the rest of his life in prison. I have become friends with many of the victims who call themselves survivors, and in their getting to know them, getting to be considered basically one of them who missed the possibility of being shot before any of these other crimes occurred. I'm the bookends to this event. I knew him before any of these crimes were committed, and since then my life has been dumped upside down because he used my name. And my privacy is gone, my blog is down, it's been sold on Amazon as an ebook for somebody who copied it and tried to market it on eBay. No, Amazon as an ebook. But I never knew how fragile my privacy was until he used my name. I never followed this case. I didn't know about Michelle McCormick's book. I didn't know how involved I would end up being.
because a lot of it been said that he said, "I hate you, Bonnie," and so that really tied you to some of his crimes. So you don't feel anything that it was a responsibility, or
No, I think he's trying to throw the responsibility elsewhere, and it lands squarely on him. He's a crazy man, and apparently he's been crazy for many, many years, and I don't carry the responsibility of his crimes. Those are his choices and his actions. And fortunately for me, the women who were his victims feel the same way.
how shocked were you when you know that this Golden State Killer, or this person, is somebody you knew, somebody you were engaged to?
I was just packing to leave Italy, and all of a sudden I get a phone call from the district attorney to let me know. Thank goodness that they thought to inform me before I walked home into all the press waiting for me at my home. So I couldn't have been more surprised.
Bonnie, did Jane capture everything that you wanted to say in there today?
I wrote an impact statement not knowing that I have no legal standing to deliver one. So
You want to read us your impact statement?
I don't have it with me.
Oh, okay.
But I totally understand that I'm not a victim of the crimes that he has pled guilty to, and I don't have standing in this courtroom to say anything. But
Were you surprised that you're not a victim? That he didn't come back to get you?
it's something that I've thought about. I have heard implications from some of the investigators that he has always stalked me, that he always knew where I lived, where I worked. And I don't know, I don't have definitive, no one has confirmed that to me, but they have alluded to and asked me for lists of everywhere that I've ever lived or worked, which makes me wonder if he hadn't indeed always known where I was. On the other hand, I never even Googled his name. I was done with him. I didn't care where he lived or where he worked. I was just moving on with my life.
And you basically have a normal, wonderful life after that?
I've been a volunteer, very involved in nonprofits here in Sacramento all of my life. With the Sacramento Crisis Nursery, with the Children's Home, boards with the UC Davis Medical Center. I've been very involved with children's issues. I was the director of the Toddler Immunization Coalition many years ago. Just going on with my life and my family and our activities here. I've always lived in Sacramento since I married.
Great, thank you.
Bonnie, what have you said? Is there anything you would have added to what Jane said, or what you thought, your thoughts about what she said for you?
I think Gay's husband Robert this morning with his fantasy sentence, there's a little bit of that in the statement that I wrote, that I know he's going to be in protective custody and never in the general population of a prison. And a little karma would go a long way, as far as I'm concerned, to have him have the fear of being attacked the way he attacked these other women. That's not a Christian thought to hold in my head, but nevertheless, it's a thought that I hold, that I'm not sure that I would feel sorry if I found out that he had also been attacked the way he attacked other women.
Bonnie, is there a question in your mind that you don't have an answer to, that is something you want an answer to?
I think all of us would like to understand how he was able to do this with a wife at home, with children at home. How was he able to be putting people under surveillance, to understand their schedules, to know when other people would come and go? How was he able to do that without extensive hours of watching these people's homes? And if so, where did his family think he was? Where had he been all of that time?
One more question. For him to do something, there's something psychologically wrong with this person. And you never noticed that when you were dating him?
I was only 18 when we began dating, and 19 when I ended it. But as I continued with him and began to realize that basically I was in an abusive relationship, and he was pushing me to fear and discomfort over and over again, and that wasn't how I wanted my future to be. The apex came when he asked me to help cheat on the exam, and that was a boundary he couldn't push me over, and so I ended our relationship then. But I was coming to understand that this is not where I want to be for the rest of my life. I was already there for all of the many little things, the poaching, and often I was along with him, and I had no idea that that's what we're setting out to go do today. So, although I didn't usually actively participate, I was there, and I had been brought there by him, and I was just crossing all of my own boundaries, and I'd had enough.
So, news can use it. 2020 magazine cannot use it. Okay.
No.
All right.
I am bound by contract.
With HBO. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Bonnie.
UELTZEN.
You. Did we get it?
And can you say okay, thank you so much for sharing.
Yeah.
Thank you, Bonnie.
I can't believe. Yeah, I walked in. I walked in very passively, but I knew that okay, when I walk out, it's going to be a different matter.
You've gotten very
Walked in anonymous.
Can you tell me your last name?
It's UELTZEN. It's pronounced Olson.
Bonnie is E-O-N-N.
Bonnie, you ready?
Thank you. Bonnie,
Thank
what
you.
contract was it you were just talking about? Oh, the one I saw you. Hey, there was another. There was something. We wanted to hug.
Is you're walking or?